I can teach. Next time. I'll do it solo next time. I'll keep that in mind.
Good morning and welcome to the Wednesday, April 20th, 2022 Board of County Commission meeting. I'm Akeem Ashford, the Communications Director. With the drop of COVID-19 cases in Sedgwick County and the reduced demand for testing and vaccinations, we want to remind you of some important testing dates coming up at the end of the month. Thursday, April 28th, the COVID-19 testing site at 4115 East Harry will close. Friday, April 29th, and Saturday, April 30th, the community vaccination site at 223 South Main will hold one final incentive clinic before it closes for good. Called Spring into Summer, the vaccine event will give a $50 gift card to anyone who gets their first dose or booster shot. Second doses get a free t-shirt. On Saturday, kids can see the mascots from the Wichita Wind Surge and the Wichita Thunder and enjoy free face painting and balloon animals. The hours are 11 to 7 on Friday, the 29th, and 8 to 5 on Saturday, the 30th. The community vaccination site will close after the two-day event, but the Sedgwick County Health Department will continue to offer mobile vaccine clinics. All of those details are available on the county's website. Next, Commissioners, the award-winning musical The Lion King is coming to Century 2, April 27th through May 8th. The Kansas African American Museum has a very unique opportunity for you. Visit TCAM to see Disney's The Lion King masks on display. There you can see authentic Simba, Mufasa, Nala, Scar, and Zazu masks on display this month. The National Hockey League is coming to Wichita. Intrust Bank Arena will host Frozen Face-Off, the first ever NHL hockey game played here in Wichita. Commissioners join Intrust staff and G1 Sports and Entertainment leadership for this exciting announcement on Monday. But we couldn't let them all have the fun by themselves, so we invited Brian Hargrove, president of G1 Sports and his staff and entertainment, G1 Sports and Entertainment and his staff to the BOCC meeting. We also have AJ Bolesky here, as well as Joel Lamerno, also affectionately known as Joel, as I learned this morning, to tell us a little bit more about this exciting announcement. So I'd like to invite Brian, his staff, up, and I'm going to actually change out the display here.
Good morning. Thank you, Akeem. So I'm Brian Hargrove, president of G1 Sports and Entertainment. Very happy. Thank you for the invite. Pleasure to be here. But I had the honor on Monday of announcing that the first time ever, Wichita would be host to an NHL preseason game. It's never been done actually in the state of Kansas, so we are very excited to put that event on at Intrust Bank Arena. The media feedback, the social media feedback, everything since the announcement on Monday has been 100% positive. The community is very excited about this event. It's the first event that we have announced as a G1 Sports and Entertainment group, and there are many other events on our calendar to try to bring to the city and to the county. So something we're very excited about. We appreciate everything that you guys have done for us. And I'd like to invite Tim Wynn with G1 Sports up to say a couple words.
Morning, Tim.
Morning, Mr. Chairman and County Commissioners. Thank you for having us this morning. Just a little background on myself, local Wichita, been in the county for 38 years of my life. and this is home. I have businesses throughout the whole state, but really my passion is sports and entertainment. And I want to take utilizing that passion, starting last year, creating the G1 Sports and Entertainment, and bringing Ryan on to lead those efforts for us. I know what sports can do in regards to quality of life for a community. I know what sports can do in regards to creating collisions of different demographics in our city and our county that we normally wouldn't get elsewise. And so from a quality of life, workforce retention, and recruitment perspective, I'm going to use my passion and Brian's passion and all of our passion for sports and entertainment to help increase that. You have my commitment on that, and we appreciate the county. AJ and his staff has been great to work with. The fact that you guys come alongside us, but we just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity this morning, and looking forward to many more opportunities and major announcements to come. But know that we're going to use sports and entertainment to bring our community together. Thank you for this morning. AJ, are you going next or Joel?
You go.
Morning, Joel.
So, good morning. I wrote down good morning, commissioners, and I thankfully he said good morning, Mr. Chairman and county commissioners. Wanted to make sure I got it right. I actually also, much like those of you that were at the press conference, thought about dressing down for the event and wearing my Coyotes jersey, but I decided to keep it professional. So, as I said at the press conference, this is an event that we talked about having for many, many years. We have tried talks with AJ and Brian for years. I've talked to the Edmonton Oilers many times. It's just a difficult event to get. NHL teams only play 6 preseason games. 3 are supposed to be at home, 3 on the road. So you have to get an NHL team to give up one of their home games in order to play elsewhere. So we were able to get, and I say we, I want to give full credit obviously to Brian and Tin, because they're the ones that put this together. We're at the Thunder just going to help out, obviously. But being able to get an NHL team to give up a home game to come play out of market is very impressive. So very excited. Playing the Blues, St. Louis Blues, lots of St. Louis Blues fans here in Wichita. So should get a good turnout of those fans, but hockey fans in general. I moved here in 1993 and always heard that there was some kind of an NHL event here at some point involving the U.S. Olympic team, the old Wichita Wind. And me and Brian, we sat in my office and we looked and we couldn't find anything. So pretty sure this is the first ever NHL game in Wichita. But I wanted to make it clear, excuse me, some other connections to the NHL that we have here in Wichita. In 1994, Gordie Howe, perhaps the first or second greatest NHL player ever, suited up for the Wichita Thunder for warm-ups and sat on the bench during games, so that was pretty cool. During the NHL strike or lockout, I don't know which it was, in 1994, we actually had 3 NHL players from the Toronto Maple Leafs and Los Angeles Kings down here practicing with us. They were going to play for us, but due to the high cost of insurance to cover their NHL contracts, that was not feasible. We have 32 former Thunder players or coaches that have NHL experience, and we have 6 players or coaches that started with the Wichita Thunder that have advanced to the National Hockey League, and we have 4 currently in the NHL today. Derek Laxdal, who started his coaching career with the Wichita Thunder back in 2003, is the assistant coach for the Dallas Stars. Stuart Skinner, our goaltender from last season, is currently playing with the Edmonton Oilers and has won 6 games this year. Very impressive. Chris Dredger, the starting goalie for the Seattle Kraken, which is a real team, if you weren't familiar. They're a new team in the NHL, is their starting goaltender. And Hayden Hodgson, who played with us 3 years ago, was called up to the Philadelphia Flyers a couple weeks ago and had a goal and an assist in his first NHL game. So very impressive. Lots of connections to the NHL through the Wichita Thunder, as I said, who are the NHL affiliate of the Edmonton Oilers. So we hope to keep that going. We have another player that played for us last year named Vinny Desharnais, who was just signed to an NHL contract as well. So hockey is alive and well in Wichita, and obviously I want to use this opportunity to thank the Thunder fans for a great season. I was telling Chairman Dennis that he said that we're more than welcome to stick around for the meeting unless you have other things to do. And it's like, well, we just finished our season and we're out of the playoffs, so I don't have anything to do, so I'll probably stick around all day. But thank you, AJ, as well, for everything oh, I'm not done, I'm sorry. Everything the arena does for us. Just a couple things about the Thunder season this year, which I thought were really cool. First time things we did this year. We had a night called Let's Talk, and it was aimed at people with a speech impediment. And NBA star Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, who was a second overall pick, came in for the game. We also in March had a game where Lou Ferrigno, the original Incredible Hulk, came and did an appearance at our game. And we had our biggest ever Faith and Family Night where Michael Jr., anybody here heard of Michael Jr., comedian? Came in and performed a concert after our game, which was our massive event for us. So we had some really great games this year, some really good interaction for our fans, and with hopefully COVID, as we talk about, continuing to go away, get back to some of the more fun things that we used to do and haven't been able to do. So I will wrap this up. Just tagging on what Brian said, the social media buzz has been tremendous. I mean, I monitor social media when the Thunder is involved, so you can get your smattering of negative comments at times, when the team's not playing well, or, you traded a player, which I understand. But when this announcement was made, the buzz on our Facebook page was amazing. Within like an hour, I think the Wichita Eagle Facebook page had well over 100 comments and like 80 shares. Interest Bank Arena, same thing. I know you guys do some posts for the Wichita Thunder, and we usually get a smattering of comments from our fans, but you guys had 50, 60 comments. So Cake, KWCH, KSN, everywhere I looked, just tremendous feedback, like more comments and shares than I've seen on big news story posts. So tremendous buzz. The Wichita Thunder put out a early pre-sale to our fans, season ticket holders yesterday for starting today, correct? And then we'll send another one out tomorrow to the rest of our database. So hopefully that'll get the buzz going, and this will be a huge event for Wichita and for hockey in general and for everyone. So very excited, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. AJ?
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. AJ Bolesky with ASM Global and Interest Bank Arena. I'm not sure how I follow that up, but I'll try. But hey, we have had a lot of momentum with sports recently, coming off the heels of the women's NCAA Division I regional. We had bare knuckle fighting a couple weeks ago. PBR is rolling into town. The ice is coming out, unfortunately for Joel, but dirt's coming in this week for PBR, and now this announcement. We're really appreciative to Ten and Brian and their team, and Joel for his support in bringing this event. First time ever for NHL on the ice at the arena as well. And appreciative to the county for not only the taxpayers for approving the vote to build this facility and make events like this happen, but also to the county for improvements that we're going to make this year for the ice playing surface. We're going to be replacing the glass, replacing the dashers, those kinds of things as we prepare for the NHL game, but every event, including the Thunder, will benefit. So just thank you. Thanks to you guys, and we appreciate it. Tickets go on sale this Friday. SelectAseat.com, 10 a.m. on Friday, April 22nd. So thanks for your time today.
Well, thank you, AJ. Well, first of all, I want to thank Brian, Tim, Joel, AJ for coming today. On Monday, when Commissioner Lopez and I had an opportunity to go over to this announcement, we invited them all over this morning. And AJ stole my speech that I always give, where I thank the citizens and the voters for giving us the Interest Bank Arena that allows us to have events like this, like the NCAA was just in here a couple weeks ago, and now professional hockey. So again, thanks to the voters for approving the Interest Bank Arena. At this time, what I'd like to do is ask our commissioners to come down on the floor with you all and get a picture with you all and the poster that we've got. So we're going to take a real quick walk down, and we'll be back up to move on with the agenda. Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Tall people in the back.
Hey, you guys just scoot in. I like to like that.
I'll just get behind her.
Yeah, Mike's with you. Scoot in just a bit more. Sorry, dry lines. Good.
Thank you. Thank you.
I got you, AJ. Although you're hired.
Yeah, there we go. I got some, yeah.
All right, Commissioners, lastly on that, I should have said this earlier, but being a St. Louis native, I got to go say, go Blues. So, all right, Commissioners. Taking a look at today's agenda, you have two appointments, one appointing Dr. Christine R. James as Deputy District Coroner, a resolution appointing SHELLEY Duncan to the Sedgwick County Animal Care Advisory Board. Under new business, we will recognize the graduates of Project Search. Deputy County Manager Tim Coffin will present you a zoo update. You will hear the island annexation request by the City of Derby. There is a letter of commitment from Sedgwick County to the Kansas Department of Transportation committing $4.4 million in funds to extend improvements on East Kellogg from K96 to about to about half mile east of Butler County line. A resolution to rescind COVID-19 pandemic local disaster declaration, and a report of the boards and bids and contracts regular meeting from April 14th. With that, Chairman Dennis, I turn the meeting over to you, sir.
Well, thank you, Akeem. I appreciate it. We've actually got a very interesting agenda today because there's a lot happening. It's nice to have different things happening that don't have to do with COVID, although we do have a couple of COVID things we're going to discuss today. But I want to welcome everyone. We've got a full audience today. We had a very nice beginning this morning. And at this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order for April 20th, 2022. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Invocation to be observed by a moment of silence. Please remain standing for the flag salute.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Roll call. Commissioner Meitzner.
Present.
Commissioner Cruz.
Present.
Commissioner Howell.
Present.
Commissioner Lopez.
Present.
Chairman Dennis.
Present. Next item, please.
Public agenda.
Thank you. We did not have anyone coming online last night for anything, and I understand we don't have anyone that signed up today, but if there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak during the public agenda, we'll provide an opportunity at this time. Seeing no one, next item, please.
Consideration of minutes. Item A, regular meeting minutes of March 23rd, 2022.
Thank you. Commissioners, everyone's had an opportunity to review the minutes from March 23rd, 2022. Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, call a roll.
Commissioner Meitzner.
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Chairman Dennis.
Aye. Next item, please.
Appointments. Item B, resolution appointing Dr. Christine R. James as a Deputy District Coroner.
Thank you, Mr. Papoon.
Mr. Chairman, Mike Papoon, County Councilor. You have a resolution before you appointing Dr. James as our Deputy District Coroner. By state statute, the District Coroner has the ability to recommend deputy coroners to be approved by the Board of County Commissioners. So this is your approval of that appointment, and we've created a resolution. It's in proper form and ask that you appoint Dr. Christine James as the Deputy District Coroner.
Thank you, Mr. Papoon. I move that we appoint Dr. Christine James for our Deputy District Coroner.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Meitzner. Commissioner Cruz.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Chairman Dennis.
Aye. Next item, please.
Item C, resolution appointing Shelley Duncan to the Sedgwick County Animal Care Advisory Board.
Mr. Papoon.
Mr. Chairman, Mike Platoon again, County Councilor. The resolution before you appoints Shelley Duncan. This is one of Commissioner Meitzner's appointment to the Animal Care Advisory Board. Each commissioner has 2 appointments to this board. This board oversees their budget and other animal welfare issues and helps advise the county on these matters. Ms. Duncan would be replacing Jerry Watts, who has resigned, and she will be filling the unexpired term of Ms. Watts. So we have prepared a resolution appointing Shelley Duncan and would ask that you approve the resolution.
Thank you. Commissioner Meitzner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm honored to make a motion to approve Shelley. It's a pleasure when you get a contact message or a phone call from a citizen that there's the quality of Shelley to say, hey, I'm interested in serving on a board that's of importance, and it was an easy yes for me. So with that, Shelley, thanks for all you do in the community as well, besides now serving on the board. So I'll make a motion to approve Shelley Duncan as my advisory board appointee to the Animal Care Board. Thank you.
Thank you. Second, is there any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Meitzner.
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Chairman Dennis.
Aye. And Shelley is in the audience today, so we'd ask her to come up if she'd like to say any words, and we're going to swear you in at this time.
Morning. If you raise your right hand, I'll give you the oath. You say I do or I swear. Okay. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Kansas and faithfully discharge the duties of my office as Sedgwick County Animal Care Advisory Board, so help me God.
I do.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Same here.
Thank you. I'm excited about that. I was just telling Chairman Dennis that, I've worked in nonprofit with humans for my whole career, so I'm really excited about now helping with animals. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
New business, item D, project search graduation recognition.
Good morning. Welcome.
Oh, Shelley brought the microphone down for me. Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Jeanette Livingston, the Deputy Director of the Sedgwick County Developmental Disability Organization. And I'm pleased to be here after a two-year delay, be able to recognize our 2022 graduating class of Project Search interns. Project Search is a collaborative program that matches businesses in the community with a school district to give students with intellectual and developmental disabilities real-world work experience in their final year of school. So our goal is for these folks to gear up with job skills and obtain employment at the end of the school year. I personally am the business liaison for Sedgwick County for this program, so I'm the connecting point between Sedgwick County, the organization, and Wichita Public Schools for this program. Sedgwick County has participated in Project Search for 8 years. The program offers the interns the ability to explore their vocational interests and build job skills in a variety of different internships done within Sedgwick County departments. They work approximately 20 hours a week. Each internship lasts about 10 weeks, and they do a total of 3 internships during the school year. This year we had 5 departments that participated. Those included Exploration Place, the Print Shop Mailroom, ComCare, Division of Information Technology, and the Sedgwick County Jail. We really appreciate our departments. We couldn't do this without them, and they provide a great variety of different types of jobs for folks to explore what kind of job would fit best for them. I will be recruiting departments during the summer because we have kind of fallen off in participation over the last couple of years due to the pandemic. So department heads, I may be calling you this summer. I'd like to recognize the 2022 graduating class. I'll start with Alan Bacon. So Alan is dependable, hard worker, who's also a team player. He did internships at the jail, Exploration Place, and Goodwill. And would you like to say something? Yeah.
Good morning, Alan.
Good morning. My favorite job was Goodwill, and I also like working at the jail. My favorite bosses were Donald, Michael Maloney, and Officer Anderson, and Officer Ramsey. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. We appreciate you being here.
Our next intern is Evans Chege. Evans is very dependable. He's certified in Word and Excel and is very task-oriented. He interned with the print shop, IT, and Martin Interconnect Services. Evans is looking for part-time employment. Would you like to say something?
Good morning, Evans.
Morning. My favorite job was IT. I want to thank James, Eric, Chris, and Kayla for training me at the IT. And I also work at a print shop. At the print shop, I worked on the jam feed and had the duty list to do at the print shop. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Evans.
Okay, Sam Link. Sam is a hard worker with good computer skills. She's fast, but also accurate at her work. In fact, I think I heard that at ComCare, she kind of worked herself out of an internship. She completed all her tasks too soon. She interned at ComCare, IT, and the print shop. She's looking for full-time employment. Did you want to say something?
Morning, Sam.
I like all of my internships. That I thank you for teaching me new skills and helping me talk more.
Thanks.
Diego Hernandez. Diego is personable, fast learner who's certified in Word and Excel. Diego interned in the IT department, the jail, and Martin's Training Solutions. And he has a job offer from Center Industries. So, Diego, would you like to say that?
Morning, Diego.
Morning. I would like to thank James and Chris for teaching me new things at IT. I would also like to thank everyone who taught me new things.
Commissioner Meissner. Hey, Diego, excuse me real quick. Diego, congratulations. I'm glad that I serve on the board at Center Industries under CPRF, and I know it's a fantastic operation, and the supervisors there are wonderful. And so I'm so glad that you've landed a job already down at Center Industries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good work. All right, Dieries Miller. Dieries is a dependable, hard-working team player. He interned at Exploration Place, the jail, and Goodwill. Dieries would like either a full-time or a part-time position. Did you want to say anything?
Morning, Dieries.
Morning. My favorite job was working at Exploration Place. I would like to thank Michael and Sabrina for teaching me new things and for all they done for me. So thank you very much, Michael, Miss Sabrina.
Okay, next we have David Watts. Now, David interned at Via Christi St. Francis. He enjoys working with his hands and is very reliable. David is also accepted a position at Center Industries, so you've got a job. Did you want to say anything?
Yeah, it's been a great experience being at the hospital. My first rotation, I worked in the lab sorting out specimen slides. And then the second and third rotation, I worked in environmental services. I get along with my coworkers great, and I've worked with Edson for a while, and he's a great coworker too.
All right, last but not least, we have Isaiah Banks. Isaiah also interned at St. Francis. He's a team player that's proficient with the computer, and I believe he's looking for part-time employment. Did you want to say something?
Oh, yes. Thank you for letting me here.
And apparently part of kind of a ham, too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good work. I want to take a moment to thank our Project Search teacher, Chris, who just left. And then we also have Natalie Kroll. She's the Project Search job coach. And a shout out to John Pinka, who joins us. He's the principal there at Dunlap Transition Campus. They're all part of what makes this program work. Appreciate them very much. I also wanted to mention, if folks in the audience or out there would like to learn more about Project Search, we do have a website. It's scprojectsearch.com. And we also currently still have our virtual reverse job fair ongoing. So if you go to the website, employers can register to participate in that virtual reverse job fair. You'll be able to see all the interns for Sedgwick County. So we have the Wichita Public Schools students here, but there's also a program at Mays and at Derby, and those are also online that employers can look at and find their next great employee. So,
thank you. Commissioner Cruz.
Thank you. Chairman, if appropriate, I'd like for the commission to take a picture with these fine students.
That is appropriate. It's after we have a receive and file.
Great, thank you.
Very good. Does any other commissioners have anything today? Seeing nothing, I know that you're anxious to get down because there's a reception after this and there's cookies and punch. We'd love to join you, but we've got a full agenda ahead of us. But thank you for being here. We're going to come down in just a moment. We'll get a picture with you all, but at this time I'd like to move that we receive and file.
Second.
We have a motion in 2 seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Meitzner? Commissioner Cruz?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell? Commissioner Lopez?
Aye.
Chairman Dennis?
Aye. And we'll take a quick break and go down onto the floor again.
You guys want to come over here? We'll get a picture with you. Come on. Can we get the teachers in too? Okay. Sure. Congratulations, you guys. Great accomplishment. I love it. I love your attitude. That's great. Okay, scoot over, scoot in. You want to get up started?
Yeah, don't stand beside.
They're too cute. I love them. We should do that in our office. We could do that for scanning. I'm not kidding. Project Search.
Can you get the official camera?
Yeah, I'm going to get the official camera here. And the back up there.
Good luck in your future.
Thank you.
It's a little bit bigger group than last time.
We've lost most of our audience, but welcome back, everyone. And I'd like to call the meeting back to order. This time, Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Item E, Sedgwick County Zoo update.
Good morning, Tim.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Tim Kaufman, Deputy County Manager. And in the theme of good news of this meeting, I've got some good news to share as well. This is an exciting time at Sedgwick County Zoo. Over 4,000 guests experienced the new Stingray Cove exhibit this past weekend. And this week, the track for the Martha C. Buford Safari Express train will begin to be laid. And today, I'd like to update you on the search process for a new zoo president and CEO. The zoo operating agreement calls on the county and the Zoological Society to work together to fill the role of director of the zoo. Upon the departure of Dr. Etling, Society Chair Cheryl Wolford appointed a search committee chaired by Mandy Wilbert that included Society board members Monty Cook, Melissa Knober, Dave Larson, Gail Malone, Maggie Topping, Maverick Woodbridge, Scott Redler, Cheryl Wolford, and myself. We used the Sedgwick County HR recruiting tool SuccessFactors and conducted a national search, including posting the vacancy on the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, or AZA, website. I'd like to thank County HR and specifically Amy Murray and Sheena Schmutz for the help that they provided in this process as well. After a formal review of applications, we invited a number of candidates to interview. Based on that interview process, the search committee made a unanimous recommendation, first to the executive committee of the Zoological Society, and then to the full board. And I'm here to present you with that recommendation from the full board. The search committee, the executive committee, and the full board of the Zoological Society recommend Scott Newland as the next president and CEO of the Sedgwick County Zoo. Scott currently serves as a deputy director of the Sedgwick County Zoo and is a 22-year employee of the zoo with a history as a volunteer prior to his first zookeeper job. Scott has advanced through the ranks and performed as a zookeeper, senior zookeeper, curator of birds, and now as the deputy director. He's distinguished himself as a teaching fellow with the AZA and serves in a number of leadership capacities with AZA. He's earned both bachelor and master's degrees from Fort Hays State University, and he serves as a faculty member at Friends University. I can also tell you, based on my observations with Scott, he has the right mix of animal care knowledge and enthusiasm paired with business acumen, customer service orientation, and leadership skills to assure the continued success of the Sedgwick County Zoo. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have, but first I'd like to acknowledge guests that we've got here with us, including Maverick Woodbridge and Cheryl Wolford from the Zoological Society Board. I'd also like to invite Zoological Society Board Chair Cheryl Wolford to come to the podium and say a few words. And then finally, when it's appropriate, I would ask that the Commission endorse this recommendation, Scott Newland as the next President and CEO, and then receive and file my report. Cheryl?
Thank you, Tim. Welcome, Cheryl.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. It is a great day at the zoo. The best part of the search is that we had the top candidate right here. So it is great to be able to put a Wichitan in that position. Scott started volunteering when he was 13, so he has spent most of his life at our zoo when he wasn't in school. So we're so proud and pleased to have Scott as our next CEO. I would like to thank Tim for serving as our interim, and Mandy for being our search committee chair. And lastly, I'd like to thank all of you. The partnership that the zoo has with Sedgwick County is awesome, and we know lots of other zoos would love to trade us places. So thank you for all your support. We look forward to a long continued partnership with you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Cheryl. And I just want to congratulate the zoo on everything that they have accomplished. We have a strategic plan in place at the zoo. We've got a 25-year master plan in place at the zoo. And each step in that master plan is being worked one step at a time. And we can see what the future is, and the future is very bright. As Tim briefed recently at the beginning of this meeting, we just opened up the Stingray Cove. We've got the tracks being laid for the Martha Buford train. The trains themselves were built right here in Sedgwick County at Chance Manufacturing. So there are a lot of future things that are going to be happening. And one of the concerns that I know that I've had and a lot of folks have had is is this momentum going to continue forward? And I believe that with the decision that that board made, and I served on the board also, I want to make sure that that's clear, I believe that the future is very bright and the momentum is going to continue, and we're going to see great things happening at the zoo in the future, just as we've seen here recently. So I think it's a great opportunity for the zoo. Actually, after the very last meeting that we had with the full board, Tom Stoltz and I walked out of that meeting and we said, you know, the best decision they could make was put Scott Newland in as the new president. We said that before the board even came up and talked to us about the decision. So I truly believe that it was the right decision, and we had no influence whatsoever. I didn't serve on the selection committee, but I think they made the absolute right decision. So with that, I move that we endorse the actions of the zoo board and receive and file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Meitzner? Commissioner Cruz?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez?
Aye.
Chairman Dennis?
Aye. Thank you, Tim, and I'm glad that you're back at work now. Appreciate it. Scott, did you want to say anything?
Well, good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. I'll be really brief. I am so excited for this opportunity. As Tim alluded to, I have spent nearly 2/3 of my life in some way at the Sedgwick County Zoo. For many of my colleagues in the industry, the joke is that I was hatched there and have never left. I am very excited to keep our momentum that Chairman Dennis was referring to going. Looking forward to finally being able to announce this to the staff and continue all the great things that we do at Sedgwick County Zoo. We have a fantastic facility, not just for this community, but nationwide. And I am so proud and honored to be the choice of the commission and the board to continue to lead us into the next chapter of Sedgwick County Zoo. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Scott, and I'm sure that the employees will be very excited also. Thank you. And you're welcome to stay, but you don't have to. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Item F, island annexation request by the City of Derby pursuant to City of Derby Resolution 08-2022.
Morning, Justin.
Good morning, Commissioners. Justin Wagoner, Assistant County Counselor. Here on an island annexation request by the City of Derby. Just to briefly explain, Kansas statutes involving annexation require you to make some findings I'll get into later. That's why this item's in front of you. An island annexation is when the property that's proposed to be annexed doesn't actually adjoin the city's contiguous boundaries. I'm going to go through the slideshow here first. The first map in the red circle there, you'll see some yellow cross hatching. That's the property that's proposed to be annexed. It's just to the east of Derby, a little bit to the east of Derby, a little less than a mile east of the contiguous boundaries, and then very close to another prior island annexation that I believe was in front of you about 3 or 4 years ago. This is a more zoomed in picture that shows the property. Again, it's in the yellow cross hatching. It's a 77-acre parcel. It's at the southwest corner of the intersection of 79th Street South and Greenwich Road. And then the last map on here shows the property again in the red circle there in relation to other cities, kind of in the whole southeast corner of Sedgwick County, because one of the findings that you have to make is how the property could impact other cities' growth and development. In this case, the property owner has specifically requested annexation. In your backup materials, there's a consent annexation request form that they provided to the City of Derby. If the annexation is approved, the City of Derby intends to extend municipal services to this property, such as sanitary sewer, police, and fire services. They're currently in the process of working out how water service may be provided to this property with the Rural Water District, which is a process cities have to go through when they annex properties like this. The city has indicated they understand the property owner intends to develop single-family and duplex residential facilities on this property. The City of Derby, their city council approved this resolution to island annex this, and they submitted it to the county. Under state law, and also our annexation policy that we have in place, we have 30 days after receiving that to make certain findings. Just to give you some background, the Metropolitan Area Planning Department completed their staff review of this annexation. It's their opinion that the proposed island annexation would not hinder the proper growth and development of this area, nor would it hinder the proper growth of any city in Sedgwick County. The only other comment that I had received from county staff on this was Sedgwick County Finance noted that this would be about a $90 annual reduction in revenue for Sedgwick County Fire District Number 1. No other city in Sedgwick County has indicated this city's in their growth area. This property is actually in the urban growth area for the city of Derby within the Metropolitan Area Planning Commission's comprehensive plan. State statute lays out requirements under which an island annexation can occur. There's 3 of them. The first is the land has to be located in the same county as the city. Here it clearly is. Second, the owners have to petition or consent to the annexation, which again they've done in this case. And then lastly, by a 2/3 vote, and the Board of County Commissioners has to find that the annexation will not hinder and prevent the proper growth and development of the area or that of any other city within Sedgwick County. That is making that finding is the recommended action. It's the resolution that's in front of you today, but it is the will of the board to make the finding that sees fit. I'd be happy to stand for any questions you have. Scott Knable, City of Derby City Planner, is also here today if you have any questions for him.
Thank you. Before I turn it over to Commissioner Howell, Scott, do you have anything that you'd like to address today? Anyone from Derby? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this subject? Seeing no one, Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the chance to take this agenda item. I appreciate that. This is in the heart of my district, obviously. Just as a point to start this, I have had no communication with anybody in Derby or the community, so I have no influence from anybody as we discuss this item today. I appreciate the fiscal note, $90 lost to the Sedgwick County Fire District Number 1. That's fairly minimal, and I would just argue we have a good relationship with Derby, and they provide great services to the county. In fact, I think they actually have a full-time fire department, and I think this is a part of the county where we probably receive a benefit from Derby more than they receive a benefit from the county. So this is a little bit unusual for the rest of the county. They have more calls into the county and the unincorporated areas than we have calls into the city of Derby. So we actually benefit from Derby's full-time fire department. So I want to say thank you to them for that, but I don't think this is going to be a problem. I'm sure we'll continue to work together. The fact that this is by request, obviously, I think it's property rights rules. I think that if they want to do this, I think that we ought to be able to support them. The only other questions, which I think, I'll just make 2 comments. I think that obviously as we continue to see Derby grow to the east, at some point we'll have to have a discussion about road maintenance on Madison or 79th Street South. At some point we'll have to have a discussion about that. This is not the day, but obviously will be something we have to continue to talk about if annexation continues to go to the east. And then the other thing I would say is on that map you'll see there's a little bitty wiggle to the west of this area. It's Webb Road. It has been closed, and that's continued. Thank you for that. Sure. A little bitty wiggle line there on Webb Road, just south of 79th Street South. That little section right there is closed. We have had a historical problem on that road trying to get that solved, and so as Derby continues to go to the east, I would just call to partnership to the township and to the city of Derby to work with Sedgwick County, and we'll look for grant money if we can. But the reality is that road does need to find a way to get opened back up again at some point. So that is on my list of things to continue to focus on. There's no easy solutions to that right now. The last estimate I had was around $800,000 to get that road back open, and that was completely on the county's dime at that point. So I think without a partnership, we're gonna have a hard time getting that back open. But as people continue to move to the east, in that area between Derby City proper and that larger residential area there, that area is developing. There's homes going in there, and so we're going to see a number of people who are in Derby city limits who are going to be in that area, and having Webb Road open would be very, very important, I think, at some point here. So, anyway, with that, Mr. Chairman, I am pleased to see that there is no controversy on this. I think it's appropriate that we will move forward, and so, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we would take the recommended action.
Thank you. I'll second the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, call roll.
Commissioner Meitzner.
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Chairman Dennis.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Item G, letter of commitment from Sedgwick County to the Kansas Department of Transportation committing $4.4 million in funds to extend improvements on East Kellogg from K96 to about a half-mile east of the Butler County line.
Morning, Jim.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Weber, Director of Public Works. We'll give him just a second here. Nope. Well, I'll give it a start anyway. We'll have a map. There we go. So I think you all know that it hasn't been that far back recently that KDOT finished up the last East Kellogg project, which terminates at the interchange with K96. They are currently working to extend further on east on Kellogg and over into Andover and Butler County. They have requested some local funding, as they do with most of their projects these days, to help with the project cost. They have asked for a letter of commitment from the locals. This is not the formal agreement, but this is where we kind of put it on paper what we think we'll do. I'm going to provide you some high-level details, and again, that formal agreement will come a little bit later. This is a little bit difficult, but this is a layout for the project. And so the dark blue is the intended improvements. This is the K96 interchange. Project recently ended right in this area. Follow the mouse. This is the intersection at 143rd. This 80-acre piece that you have down here, Commissioner Meitzer and Commissioner Howell are familiar with it. This is the Springdale Country Club Estates Improvement District. This is in the county and will probably always be in the county. There's another parcel, I think it's this one up here, which is also, no, maybe this one that's also not annexed into the county, so this is kind of why we have skin in this game, because we have land in our jurisdiction that abuts it. This is 159th Street, which is also the city limit between Andover and Wichita. It's a pretty complicated area that extends on over almost a half a mile into Andover. This is Onewood, which would be about the half-mile line. So those are the improvements, and you can see a plethora of frontage roads and ramps and things that would also come with it. And so it's a pretty good-sized project. KDOT's planning to utilize an alternative delivery strategy. This is known as progressive design build because it's going to speed up the process. They also expect it to reduce overall project cost because this method has built-in value engineering at literally every step. They estimate that by using this process, shortening up the total time of the project, they're going to save 1.3 million hours of travel delay. So that's people sitting in intersections out there just waiting for lights to turn right now. The procurement process for KDOT is underway right now, and they expect substantial completion of the main line by the end of 2025. Now, some of these other ramps and things might not be done, but the main line they're shooting to have done in a little over 3 years. This is just they have a website for this project. This is their procurement schedule. They're in it right now. We've had several meetings with them. We'll be involved at various steps along the way. But this process basically involves having kind of a well-developed concept, going out early to obtain a team, a contractor engineer team that will design it, get to a certain point, and then they're going to start building right behind it. So design and construction are going to be happening concurrently, and they expect to have that design builder team by late September, and that'll be go from there. The partnership that we've worked out with the locals and with the state has us paying $4.4 million, which is about 2% of the total project cost. You can see the rest of the cities in Butler County in there as well. KDOT's still going to be doing over $204 million, or almost 91% of the project cost on a project that's $225 million. We're requesting that you authorize the chairman to sign this letter of commitment.
So we can get that into KDOT and then get them to developing the final agreements and move on down the road. Be happy to try to answer any questions you might have.
Well, thank you, Jim. I know this butts both Commissioner Meitzner's and Commissioner Howell's district. I don't know if they have any comments that they'd like to make. Commissioner Meitzner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Jim. This kind of popped up as a project that the whole community, Butler, and over that eastern section knew that this was going to be on the radar based on the accomplishments of the Webb Road and Greenwich Road and the connectivity to 96. Very successful time frame. It was a 12-year project condensed into about 5 or 6, and it was a redesign that saved taxpayers about $40 to $50 million on construction and time. But this one, as a result of that work, it improved a lot of it improved traffic up to 96 and then created pretty severe traffic problems from 96 over into Andover. So I applaud Andover and Butler for kind of helping take a big lead, but really it appeared to it came on KDOT's radar as a very important problem to help solve. So this one, thank you for our local transportation coalition that also embraced this, and it's going to really be quite an accomplishment. I think they wanted to make it complete about the same time that North Junction will be complete, if I recall.
Right. They're looking at North Junction finishing in the same time frame, finishing this one up, and then I don't want to lead with too much for them, but they want to move on to expanding K96 to 6 lanes for a big part of it as soon as all of this stops. So it's probably a good time to live on the west side of town. But,
and I've talked to some of the construction groups, and if you want a construction job on a highway project and bridge building, now's the time you're going to have there's going to be a lot of work and a lot of opportunity and suppliers. I hope we have enough concrete and cranes and workers to get this done. So thank you. There'll be a lot of orange cones too.
Everywhere.
Thank you. Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess my first question would be, will this fix the exhaust brake or Jake brake noise?
Yes.
Amen. Amen. We've been working on the Jake brake, exhaust brake noise issue out there for years, and this is a huge problem for people who live right there. And state laws and conflict in legislation and state laws has really caused this to be a thing that's been a little bit difficult to solve. And so, I've been advocating with some state senators and Secretary of Transportation and you all trying to find a solution to that, and it has not been easy. But I know that's 3 years away, but just to know that there's a planned solution that's actually going to fix that problem is really great. I'd be remiss if I did not recognize the city of Wichita, our friends across the street. They have a $13.3 million commitment. Have they already committed to this, do you know?
I haven't seen it, but my understanding is they have. I mean, everybody, on a staff level, everybody's in agreement. I think it's just a matter of processing all these letters. We have chosen to bring this to the board for action, just so you'd be aware of what's going on.
And I assume that the letter really is trying to get the state to approve their $204.4 million, but everybody else on this is, as far as we know, they're supportive. Okay. Curiously, how long has Kellogg been construction free? Not very long.
Months.
A few months. Yeah. I can already tell there's going to be a lot of public comments about Kellogg going back under construction, but this is a pretty big, important section of road. It's very, very busy. If you go out there during rush hour, it's one of those areas that's just jam-packed with cars. And I know there's lots of accidents, and I think this is obviously very necessary. And I'm proud to see that this has come before us. I think it's a great investment in our public. Traveling public needs to get around safely. So this is a very important project. Mr. Chairman, I'd be glad to support a motion to have this letter sent out. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Well, the only comment I have is I think it's absolutely needed in that area. The WAMPO and the Transportation Coalition are all behind this. So It is the right thing to do at the right time to do it. Now, once that this is finished, I'd love to see us work on the west end of Kellogg at some point. Because the last time anything was done on the west end by Councilman Martz was the city councilman, so that's been a while back. Commissioner Howell, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I do have just, I guess, one final question. I had written down, I forgot to ask my question, but this will be sales tax funded, I assume. We have that 1 cent sales tax, and half that goes to road projects, bridge replacements. Would this be funded through that sales tax revenue?
Yes, we're adding it to the CIP that you'll be looking at this summer, but it will be sales tax funded. Our portion of it is sales tax funded.
We think that our 4.4 million, assuming that this goes forward, would our 4.4 million be a 2023 budget consideration, or is that something we're going to try to find in the money in the current budget?
You know, and I'm going to back up because what we're trying to do, it's sales tax funded, but what we're asking in the letter is that we continue to use with KDOT a program that we're using at the North Junction, which is we have an allocation of federal funds that comes to every county in the state. And they have a program where they'll exchange that for state dollars, which is less restrictive usage. So the exchange rate is 90%. You lose 10%. On the West Kellogg and 235 interchange and on North Junction, we've been able to use that at 100%. And so to the extent that we think they'll be okay with it, continuing with this plan, but we'll actually be using the federal funds that come to the county. But sometimes that mixes on the state dollars to make it all work, or I'm sorry, sales tax dollars to make it all work. But
well, it sounds like there's a plan, and I think that sounds great. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion. We would approve the letter of commitment from Sedgwick County to the KDOT and authorize the chairman to sign.
Thank you, Commissioner Meitzner.
I'll second that. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Meitzner.
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Chairman Dennis.
Aye.
thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Next item, please.
Item H, resolution to rescind COVID-19 pandemic local disaster declaration.
Morning, Julie.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. Yes, I am here to ask for a adoption of the resolution to rescind the COVID-19 pandemic local disaster declaration. 763 days ago was our first local disaster declaration for this pandemic. The first case of COVID-19 in Sedgwick County was identified on March 19th of 2020. The original local disaster declaration was approved by the Board of County Commission on March 18th, 2020, and lasted through May 16th, also 2020. And on May 13th of 2020, the BOCC voted to extend the declaration until terminated by the Board of County Commission. We feel that we are moving from the emergency response to more of the recovery phase. Our healthy supply chain is intact. We've got testing and vaccination capabilities in the community to reach all of our residents. And with that, I make the recommendation to adopt the resolution to rescind the local disaster declaration.
Well, thank you, Julie. I appreciate it. As you know, I called you earlier this week to go through this and make sure that we were doing everything that we needed to do and still protect the county, and I believe this is the right decision. I also talked to our attorneys about it a little bit, and I talked to the manager. So I think that the decision that's been made, or that we'll vote on shortly, is the right decision at this point in time, and I appreciate bringing this to us today.
Absolutely.
I don't see any comments, so I'm going to make a motion that we adopt the resolution and rescind the COVID-19 pandemic local disaster declaration.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Meitzner. Commissioner Cruz.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Chairman Dennis.
Aye. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
bringing this to us.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Item I, report of the Board of Bids and Contracts regular meeting on April 14th, 2022.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Jamie Whitmer, Purchasing. Happy to be here. I told Mr. Thomas I would be on my best behavior today, so I'm going to try to do him proud. The regular meeting of the Board of Bids and Contracts on April 14th results in 4 items. Item 1, corrugated steel aluminized culverts, Public Works. The recommendation is to accept the low bid from Contact Engineered Solutions, DBA Contact Engineer Solutions LLC in the amount of $74,181. Item 2, 2022 BM2 overlays R175E Public Works. The recommendation is to accept the low bid from Pearson Construction LLC in the amount of $1,734,185.21. Item 3, Prevention Early Intervention Services Number 3, Department of Corrections. The recommendation is to accept the proposal and execute service provider agreements with Community Solutions Incorporated, Seventh Direction Incorporated, and Untamed Athletes Incorporated for the amount shown above for a term of 18 months beginning July 1st, 2022 and ending December 31st, 2023. Item 4, Alternative Dispute Resolution, Domestic Conciliation Services, 18th Judicial District Court. The recommendation is to accept the proposals from Cindy L. Cleos, DBA Cindy L. Cleos LLC, Collaborative Success Incorporated, Holly S. Kelly, Diane Sherwood, DBA The Center for Peace and Forgiveness, James W. Wilson, N. Tripp Shaver, Jonathan Olson, Stacy L. Ortega, DBA McDonald Tinker, PA, Shannon A. Kelly, DBA Kelly Law Offices, and Tina Huntington, DBA Huntington Law Firm, for a contract period extending until all assigned American Rescue Plan Act's funding has been utilized. I would be happy to try and answer any questions you may have, and I recommend approval of these items.
Well, thank you very much for coming to board today. Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just on that last item, what's how much ARPA funding has been earmarked for this? Do we know?
I believe for year one, we have $750,000.
Is there funding that goes on beyond year one?
We have a representative that'll speak on that.
Good morning, Courtney Dowdy. I'm the court program analyst for the 18th Judicial District Court. We are looking at $750,000 for this year, $1 million for 2023, and $1 million for 2024.
Okay. Will we get some, is this a year-by-year contract, or is this something we have to approve one time and it's for all 3 years?
At this time, we have requested that the funding be approved for all 3 years, or the remaining of this year, and then 2023, 2024.
Do we know, this is the first I've actually, this is a kind of a new item for me, so I'm trying to catch up, I guess. But how many folks are going to be, how many cases will be
served? So if we look at the maximum allowed for each case, it's $4,000. Approximately 687 cases can be served by utilizing these funds. Just for reference, previously these were private pay situations, and in 2010, or 2000, that's not 2010, I just made myself like 12. In 2021, there were 205 referrals for domestic conciliation, and in 2020, there were 211. So this would allow us to essentially get close to doubling our ability to serve the community. This funding is going to save trial time for the family law judges. And if we calculate the amount of time it takes for these cases to go in front of a judge, we're looking at 2 to 3 days per case that we'll be saving the judges. So this will go to a third party that will essentially do the investigation of each party, identify the issues, and provide a report for the judge to make a decision about what should happen.
And this is something we approved already when we approved the ARPA spending plan?
This was a portion of that, yes.
And how are these folks referred to this program?
At this time, we have decided it's going to be on a straight rotation. Each district court judge will be allotted a certain number of cases they can refer, and it will be their discretion to determine which cases are most appropriate to refer to those programs. We will be doing tracking in a variety of ways to understand who is getting access to this program, but domestic matters are very complicated and very expensive, So we have left it to the judges to decide who is most appropriate.
I have no doubt they're complicated. I'm sure that domestic cases are probably the most difficult in many ways, I'm sure. Do we have an argument that we could say this is there's an increase, if you will, in these types of cases because of the COVID pandemic?
What we're looking at identifying is that this is part of the story of our backlog with family law cases and the number that are still pending over 18 months. And what we're looking to do is to find a way to kind of take a little bit from each end of what's happening so that we can free the time for the judges to address those cases that are still pending. I would note that after a case is technically disposed for family law cases, they still remain within the court system for a lengthy period of time just based on the nature of the case.
All right, well, thank you for those answers.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may continue, I have a question about item number 3. Thank you. So on item number 3, this is for probably for Dr. Moreland, if you don't mind, Dr. Moreland. And maybe for Manager Stoltz. I don't know if we can answer the question as well, but you know, we are approving new money for 3 new programs, and I don't have any experience with these, obviously. I just heard about them at our briefing. We had a discussion privately about these new programs, and I know there will be performance measures. I'm just wondering, you know, you and I talked a little bit about I just lost the name here, but we talked a little bit about officers having conflict resolution training. I forget what that was called now.
CIT.
CIT. Thank you. I couldn't think of the name. But anyway, CIT training. I think one of those things. I continue to ask the question: How many of our law enforcement officers in Sedgwick County have CIT training? And if they don't have it, is there a lack of funding for that? And I know that mental health, again, is screaming for funding. We have got to find ways to fund more mental health programming in Sedgwick County. And I think that a lot of these issues overlap. And I know that. The programs we have in place right now, there are performance measures, and these are very well intentioned. But I'll also argue that I think the crime trends in Sedgwick County by our juvenile population has not gone down. In fact, it's gone up. I know that the convictions have gone down because I think the charges of those cases have been set aside because of Senate Bill 367. So if you, in one way, if you look at the trends of Sedgwick County, you might say, well, the conviction rates have gone down, but I'll argue that the crime trends have gone up. And I think that we are not adjudicating these juveniles because we're dealing with them with these types of programs. And I'm still questioning whether or not more of these programs is the right answer versus other solutions that maybe we should have a different discussion. So I'm just a little bit unsure about expanding these programs. Just for the public's knowledge, this is about what we're approving today is a plan for basically a year and a half of funding. It's $582,000 for 1 year, and it's extended out to $873,000 for a year and a half. And there's a number of programs that this provides funding for, and 3 of these programs are basically brand new to us. And so I'm just thinking with that type of financial commitment, these are property tax dollars. With that type of commitment to these programs, I'm concerned that we've not thought about what other things are out there that might have impact on our juvenile crime trends or crime situations that are going on in this community, including those things that deal with mental health, like Cedric Lofton. So I'm glad to hear your comments if you want to comment on that. And I'm not sure where I am on this issue today, but I'd like to hear your comments. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Dolores Craig Moreland from Wichita State University. I'm serve as a consultant to the county Department of Corrections, and in that role, I do evaluation of the programs that we serve. I would draw your attention, it's a hard question you ask because it seems like it's like an octopus. It's got lots of legs here that I could pick up on almost anything, and that's dangerous with me because I have opinions about everything, so I'll try really hard. But in the continuum sheet, we provided you with a sheet that shows the continuum. I think the best answer to the big question you have, which is how does this all fit together to prevent tragedies, to interrupt lives that have started to go down a bad path, that sort of thing. And if you look at the effort that's being made, you'll see that there are things that we are doing for those that are at risk. They haven't yet gotten into trouble, but we know the things that are happening in their life puts them at risk. So you fund a program that actually works in the elementary schools, and it's conflict resolution for little people. And that sounds like, gosh, that's early to start, but it's not early to start. I've seen the very early stage of this teaching conflict resolution to 3- and 4-year-olds, and it's heartening. I encourage all of you to look at these programs if you have the opportunity, but it's heartening to see a 3 or 4-year-old declare that they don't need to fight with somebody about a chair. There's another choice. And they're not saying it because they know I want to hear it. They have no idea who I am. So when I see that, I believe it. And I think that's an important element, that service for elementary school students is very important. And then when we look at the kids that are at the front door, or hopefully we get as close as possible to the front door, and that's JIAC, the Juvenile Intake and Assessment Center. And we have programs for kids that are suspended and expelled. We know that there's trouble ahead for kids who have a continual pattern of disruption at school. So you fund a program there. And that program takes kids that have long-term suspensions or expulsions, and those children have a lot of free time if we don't create an opportunity for them. So I think that's very important. When we look at the kids who get into trouble, we discover that there are certain patterns, and that would include troubles in the family, troubles with leisure and recreation that usually shows itself in the way of bad friends, and substance abuse issues. So the programs that are proposed to you are filling those gaps. We need to help families who have juveniles that are getting further and further into trouble, and teach those parents different ways and provide support for those parents. So that's the multi-systemic therapy that's being offered by Community Solutions. Another serious problem that you would find if you go and look at who's in detention or who's under county supervision, court supervision, is substance abuse. There's a significant amount of it, and Seventh Directions has been providing services to adults with drug court, and they're stepping up to work with the substance abuse of the juveniles. And we believe that's a very important area if we want to reduce delinquency. And leisure and recreation is something, a lot of people probably think that's a thing that you don't need to do, but it's a pro-social opportunity. And that program uses sports as the enticement, but the kids enjoy the sport, but in order to get their sports involvement, they have to also have tutoring and some mentored family intervention stuff there too. I know that's a long answer, but I think the real answer to your question is we have a part to play, the police have a part to play, mental health has a part to play. There's a lot of players in this. If we continue to tend this continuum, we're on the best path that we can choose according to what research has found throughout the country.
Thank you. I guess right now, I have just one other question here. I see that there was a lot of solicitation for bids. Most of the folks never did not bid back, and the 3 that did bid are all 3 being awarded some funding. One of the ones that did not respond was ComCare. I don't know if that to me is a little bit surprising. Some of the other ones that didn't respond, there's a long list of them actually. I don't know how many there are here. I didn't count them up, but about maybe 20 or so organizations that did not respond with a bid for these services. And the 3 that did respond, all 3 of them are getting some funding today. I know that you have performance measures, and I care deeply about that because we need to verify that these programs actually work. And if they're not working, we don't want to fund programs that don't deliver, if you will. And so I know that that's part of the requirement here. There has to be performance measures. I'm cautiously optimistic. I think we need to invest in getting kids on a better path. So I'm cautiously optimistic that this is a step in the right direction. But I guess my question to manager and even to my colleagues here is I think we need to have a discussion at some point that says what is our plan to address the crime trends of Sedgwick County in terms of juvenile justice issues. And I think we need to have a comprehensive discussion, and I think it includes possibly legislation. If we have a zero-sum game of dollars, and we do, property tax dollars are limited and very precious, is this the best way we can spend money to make the biggest bang for the buck? And I don't know that I'm not sure this is the answer. So I'm a little bit concerned that this is moving forward. We've not really had a discussion, and I don't know if this is the best we can do. So we're going to spend roughly $480,000 roughly on these new programs, and I hope that this works. I don't have a lot. I don't have a huge amount of confidence right now. I hope I get reassured later on when I see those performance measures. But right now, I'm cautiously optimistic. I think I'll support the plan because Dr. Moreland, I support you personally. I think you're fantastic, and I trust your judgment. So I want to invest in things that you believe in. But I just want to let you know I think we need to have a conversation that's maybe bigger than just this today about where are we going as a county, and it is a county issue. Some people say this isn't a county commission issue. I think it is. When our kids are getting involved in more heinous crimes, we have 14 juveniles right now on murder, on hold for murder in Sedgwick County. That is shocking. We've never seen numbers like that before in Sedgwick County. So something is going on. And if we don't have a different discussion and talk about what's causing these things to happen, we may never get a handle on this. And so I think we need to have a discussion, and it is a county commission issue. Thank you, Chairman, for the chance to speak, and I would make a motion we adopt the recommendations of the Board of Bids and Contracts.
Thank you. I'll second that. And then we do have more discussion. Commissioner Cruz.
Thank you, Chairman. I have one quick question. Have we cross-referenced the folks that are the children that are in JIAC and JDF today, or ever taken a snapshot of those, say, over a period of time who have entered this facility with the programs that were available at the time? So let's say for the past 3 years we've had, so for instance, Chris, thank you for giving me this information. Chris is in the audience back there. So I asked, she provided just the demographics and the numbers that are in our detention facility today. So there are 44 youth in detention as of yesterday, or when you gave me those numbers. 9 are identified as suspended, expelled from USD 259. There's 7 females and 37 males. And so we see a higher percentage of boys versus girls. So I just wonder, how are we taking the snapshot of who is entering JDF at any given time, and then cross-referencing it with the programs that we're offering to see if they are in fact effective, and as to see ways to improve?
Every 3 years, I've been doing this a long time, and for Sedgwick County since '97, I believe it was, and from that period through the current time, every 3 years we do a pretty massive review of the risk factors, and we look at 2 populations when we're looking at those risk factors. One of them that we look at is the very front end, which is the juvenile intake and assessment. The other one is we look at everyone who's been deeper in the system, who's had an assessment it's a actuarial fancy assessment tool, but we look at the information from both of those sources, and it tells us, we have a lot of research out there nationally that tells us what things make kids more likely to get involved in delinquency. By looking every 3 years, we can tell exactly which problems are the most significant in Sedgwick County. And we use that information then to tell us which things need to be addressed by these programs. That's where we got the substance abuse, the family risk domain, and the leisure and recreation, is from looking at kids who are at the very front end and looking at kids who are in the deeper end. And, most of those kids that are under in the juvenile field service program have significant, substantial, multiple forces that are driving their delinquency. And that's very challenging. And that's one of the good things is we do encourage the providers to work together. So sometimes kids get services from a couple of different things. But, I share your interest and I share your frustration. I know the pandemic has made us all crazy because it's been very difficult to figure out, for these providers to figure out what to do. I still believe that the approach that underlies it is the right approach because we're looking at the things that have proven ability to cause delinquency to occur. We're looking at those things, whether we look soon enough, the funds that we get that shares this responsibility from the state must be spent on kids that are already in trouble. And that's not very satisfying to those of us that believe in something that's preventive, truly preventive. But you do cover the continuum with the way that you do it, and it does address the exact things that are putting the kids in detention, that are putting the kids in juvenile intake and assessment, and ultimately putting them in juvenile field service.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. So of the 44 kids that are in our detention facility today, do we know how many of these kids, if any, have gone through our programs in the past? Have we evaluated? That's my exact question. Are we taking the exact kids who are in our detention facility today and historically over the past 3 years, if that's your measure, and see how many of those kids have gone through our program?
We haven't done that. That's certainly something we can do, and we can report that to you so that you can see. We do give, in the program evaluation that I share with you once a year, we do give you the recidivism rates, but that's not as clean and direct as what you're asking for, and I know we can give you that.
And I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying that that's going to solve anything. I'm just saying maybe the information that we garner from this, how could we have reached these kids? Because they're probably not the only ones that we didn't reach. So if none of them have gone through our program, how could we reach them in the future? And if they did go through our program, where did our program fail? Those are the kinds of questions that I'm asking, and that I'd like to see if we aren't doing that sort of evaluation, is there a way to start that?
I think that's a reasonable thing that we can follow up on and then make a decision about how to make it a continuing part of what we evaluate.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Sure.
Well, thank Doctor for being here today. I know the last time you were here, the briefing was not very positive. We were having some problems, mainly because of the pandemic. We weren't being able to reach out to all the kids that are having problems. This is a lot of money we're going to spend. We're not touching all of the kids that may need to have some kind of an intervention. We don't only touch a small portion of all of the issues across the board. And some of these programs are costing us thousands of dollars per kid that is enrolled in them. So I hope that the next briefing is much more positive than the one you gave us here a couple months ago, because if not, we're going to have to look at another way of correcting the issue. I'm just concerned that we're not touching everybody we can. The ones that we are touching are costing us an awful lot of money. The success rate, we need to make sure that that is absolutely briefed to us so that we know exactly how many that enter into the programs are successful at the end. So I'm going to ask for a lot of things when you come back, because the last time you were here was not positive. So.
Okay.
I don't see any other comments. I believe we had a motion and a second on this. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Meitzner. Aye. Commissioner Cruz. Aye. Commissioner Howell. Aye. Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Chairman Dennis.
Aye. Thank you for being here, Doctor.
Thank you, and I want to congratulate you on your enduring interest in this, because you are the place where the buck stops and where somebody's actually trying to do something. and that puts us ahead of many other areas in Kansas. So I appreciate you, and I know I don't always bring good news, but we do our best.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item.
Consent agenda.
Mr. Manager.
Good morning, Chairman of Commission, Tom Stills, County Manager's Office. Recommend approval of consent items J through AD this morning.
Thank you. Move to approve Julia through Alpha Delta. Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, call roll.
Commissioner Meitzner. Aye. Commissioner Cruz.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Chairman Dennis.
Aye. Next item, please.
Legislative issues.
Morning, Tanya.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Tanya Cole, Assistant County Manager. My comments will be brief this morning. The Appropriation and Ways and Means Committee will be back and meeting this Thursday and Friday to look over the consensus numbers, and we'll be crafting the omnibus budget for the full legislature to
Just a minute, Tanya. Shelley, could you stay for a moment? Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay.
I just have a question during other.
Sure. So they will be looking over the consensus numbers and crafting the omnibus budget for the full legislature to review and approve when they return for veto session, which will be this Monday, April 25th at 10 a.m. Talking to Jason, our state lobbyist, he's saying it's hard to know how long the session may go. He's hearing that it could be 1 week or even up to 3 weeks. We understand that the aviation job tax credit that it was on our joint platform that has been signed by Governor Kelly. This creates a set of tax credits designed to protect and grow the Kansas aviation manufacturing industry. So that's great for our region and state, and of course our aviation industry. As far as legislation, there is nothing to report there. Nothing has passed in the last 3 weeks. And so I'm happy to answer any questions, or if you'd like to provide me with any direction on legislative issues.
Thank you. Anything for Tanya today? Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to ask about HB 2676. That's the Sedgwick County legislation that helps us with our finances and creating a couple of funds with our accounting. Do we know if that language has been retained anywhere in conference?
We did talk to Jason about that, and I think you asked for that to move that through the Senate. He felt that we weren't going to be able to move that because it was too late. Is that what you're talking about?
No,
okay.
We know it's too late. It really passed really late in the House, and so it is live. What it needs to happen right now is that language needs to be conferenced into a conference committee report. So it is germane to lots of other issues, and it doesn't have to be local government necessarily. It could be anything that touches accounting, budget accounting. I think there's all kinds of touches that you could very easily incorporate that language into any other existing conference committee report that's germane to that. And so our strategy right now needs to be not to get this through the Senate. It's too late, but to conference this into a conference committee report somewhere else that is. That's the only way we can do this, and it's not too late. I've just talked with Majority Leader Dan Hawkins, and he was unaware of our need and our ask, and so I sent that to him. I plan on sending out emails sometime either today or this week to all the players at the legislature, the president in the Senate, and the Speaker of the House, as well as any conference committees I think might have germane language. We need to reach out to them and ask them to put that in, because it's non-controversial and it helps out counties, not just Sedgwick County, although it's very important to Sedgwick County. There's no reason why this should be dropped at this point. There's absolutely no reason whatsoever. We need to drive forward and get it to move forward. Appreciate our lobbyists; they do great work, but this is important, and we've done a lot of work on this year. We don't need to lose it because simply it just got dropped. So it's up to us to push it forward, and we need to engage this week to get this on people's radar. If we don't do that, we will lose it. And so we just need to re-engage the effort. And 2676, let's push forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Tanya, I don't see anything else. I appreciate it.
Very good. I'll follow up with you, Commissioner Howell, on that.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Committee reports.
I asked Shelley to stay today specifically. Commissioner Cruz and I sat on the Mental Health Substance Abuse Committee, and we just had a meeting this week. And at the end of that, the sheriff made note to us to let us know about the problem with fentanyl. And I don't know exactly what the stats were off the top of my head. It seems like he said that there were something like 100 different cases at the Forensic Science Center right now that might have fentanyl-related issues. And the one important thing that the sheriff said is that if you look at a grain of salt.
So I actually have I'm sorry to interrupt you. I actually have a graphic that I've asked them to pull up if we could do that.
Okay, well, let's pull up the graphic first, and then we'll see if Shelley can talk to the issue too.
So I'm sorry, continue. Excuse my interruption.
I'm sorry. Anyway, let me go on and tell you about fentanyl a little bit from what I've learned. And I know very little, and Shelley can probably give us a lot more information. But what he told us is that if you look at a grain of salt, 1 grain of fentanyl will make you very, very sick. And some people, especially younger, could kill you. 2 grains of fentanyl will kill you. That's pretty damning information. When you consider that it's being laced into marijuana, into methamphetamines, these types of drugs are out there, and our children are taking them today, not knowing the dangers behind that. But one of the things after that meeting, I talked to the manager about it a little bit and said, we can do all the education that we need to get out. And we might show this graphic real quick, make sure it goes on to our TV channels. But education is going to get us so far, and I'm not sure whether the students that are and the younger people that are involved really recognize the dangers of something, how lethal that fentanyl is in our community. We need to make sure that the parents especially know how dangerous that this is in our community. But besides the education portion of it, we have to keep these young people alive that come in contact with fentanyl, either knowingly or not knowingly, because it's being laced into other drugs. So one of the things I talked to the manager about was how do we get Narcan available more to the public? I know that our EMS carries Narcan on our ambulances today. Some of our law enforcement carry some Narcan. But we have come in contact with a lot of youth through the Sedgwick County. And so the manager is going to have some Narcan available in other locations throughout the county. So I think that this is important. So the reason I asked Shelley to come up and talk about from the Forensic Science Center portion is, can you give us some idea of what you're seeing at the Forensic Science Center in relation to fentanyl?
Chairman, if I could interrupt before Dr. Stedman gets started. There's a couple, we're trying to grab some graphics here, statistical graphics. If Dr. Stedman, if you're okay with that, putting it up, and if that's okay, Chairman, if we could throw that up while Shelley's talking, is that okay?
Very good, thank you.
Dr. Shelley Stedman, Regional Forensic Science Center Director, and I've actively been providing metrics to a representative of the Wichita Police Department and Sheriff Easter regarding the trends that we're seeing in postmortem samples. I think there's some confusion about the numbers. When we currently started checking into this more specifically, we did have 100 cases from 2021 deaths that were pending completion of the autopsy report. Today we have 66 2021 cases that are pending finalization by our pathologists, and about half of those are awaiting toxicology results. So when you're looking at the trends, where the Regional Forensic Science Center can provide you insight on real-time happening is in our drug identification laboratory and what the investigators are bringing in off the streets. Unfortunately, today publicly, I'm not able to talk about the type of evidence that's being submitted to our laboratory because it could interfere with an investigation. But some of those details could probably be shared by Sheriff Easter and some of the narcotic detectives from the Wichita Police Department. So if we look at the number of overdoses, we are seeing a great deal increase. You must keep in mind that we are getting about, over the last 2 years, anywhere from 20 to 30% more casework. That can be more deaths, that can be more autopsies, and it can mean more medical investigators going to scenes. So our caseload overall has increased, but I believe it's fair to say that the number of overdoses or the percentage of those cases that are overdose cases is probably higher. There is another metric that I generally provide which shows that within those cases of overdose, the amount of cases that had some fentanyl on board. It doesn't necessarily mean that fentanyl caused the death, but it means that in that person's body, fentanyl was detected. What I am hearing anecdotally from the people around me where I work is that we're seeing much greater levels of fentanyl. We are seeing, when we screen DUI, DUID cases, these are people who are driving next to you on the road in the morning and at night. And the cases that are coming in, about 50% of them now have some level of fentanyl. Some of those levels would be lethal to most of us here in the room, but those individuals are driving on our roads and streets. So the problem is definitely supported by the data that I'm hearing in the lab. Fortunately, it takes several months to substantiate that information in the form of the metrics that we provide routinely. So I've been sharing the case types with Sheriff Easter and Travis Rakestraw at Wichita Police Department, and I do know that the sheriff is planning some educational activities and has worked with Hakeem to further develop those.
Thank you, Dr. Sedman. Commissioner Cruz?
Thank you. I just wanted to share that, you know, this, as a mother of a 13-year-old kid who is already, I mean, kids these days are already having some issues around coming out of a pandemic and changing their learning environment. But now, I'm so glad that I didn't grow up in the day of social media and how things change and the codes that they speak in. I mean, half the time I can't even really understand what they're saying to each other. And so I have a meeting today with my daughter's principal because I just want to know kind of what's going to happen with their school as far as talking about this kind of thing, but also just bullying in general. So getting back to this fentanyl-related issues, you know, now, I mean, we have kids experimenting. They think they're buying, you know, an $8 painkiller. They think they're buying a Percocet or some other painkiller, when in fact they're buying something laced with this drug and it's killing them immediately. And so, you know, me as a parent talking to my daughter is one thing, but influencers in schools and influencers in their peer groups is another. And so I'm wondering, as a county and as our communications department, and how we can start being advocates for communicating this information to the masses. How do we plan to do that? And should we take some leadership role in utilizing our social media platforms and our communication tools to not only try to reach parents, but reach kids as well? And so I'm wondering, you know, how we can work on a plan to do that. I did mention to Terry, who serves on the Mental Health and Substance Abuse Coalition with us, how we could work with the schools to reach those influencers. And, you know, she mentioned could be 40, 50 influencers because everybody has their own group. But we have to get kids talking to kids about this in the way that kids can understand, young adults, because, yes, parents talk to your children, but it's one thing to come from your, you know, peer group and start talking about it in that way. So thank you for bringing this up, Chairman. I was going to do the same. That graphic that we did show earlier, if we could maybe pop that back up. I mean, I don't think people really understand just how small amount could really be lethal. And this image brought to me by Brenda Dietzman, who was our undersheriff for many, many years, shared this. It's just pretty scary. And so the more information we can get out, which I'm glad we have the media here today, and I hope that other media outlets will start helping to spread this message, because one life lost to this is too many, and it just continues to impact us in ways that we don't even know yet. So I appreciate the conversation, and I hope that we can figure out a communication strategy, not only with the county, but with our media partners to get the word out about this as soon as possible.
Thank you. Commissioner Howell?
Thank you, Chairman. Just want to clarify the chart that showed the bar chart that was up just a moment ago. What's the region? What is the region for both of these? That one shows other counties in Sedgwick County. Can we clarify which other counties we're talking about? And then the second bar chart, and you get to see these back to back.
The Regional Forensic Science Center provides, we're, by virtue of our name, a Regional Forensic Science Center, so we do provide autopsy services to the contiguous counties. Every now and then, we will also provide services to one that is not next door. If they were life watch to Wesley, and we end up with that case. So about 20% of the work that we do is out-of-county work, and so that addresses the other counties.
So, the population being less in these other counties, I'm just curious if the percentage of this issue is similar in other counties, or is it much worse in Sedgwick County as a percentage of the population? I'd like to see some analysis on that. And I understand HIPAA is a constraint, but I think to get some demographic data on the folks that are included in this population, what are their ages and zip codes? If there's a way to get demographic data on these trends, it might help us focus on where do these messages need to be targeted, rather than simply a broadcast to the entire population. Where is the area the worst, and what's the age range, and what's the area of the community that's most impacted by this? I think we ought to have some demographic analysis on this, if that's possible. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Well, Dr. Stedman, I appreciate you staying. I know that you're very busy over there. One of the other stats or piece of information the sheriff gave us was that he had a deputy not too long ago that just opened up a package thinking it was just some type of drug, but the deputy passed out immediately after opening that. Now they don't even open up any packages whatsoever because they don't know if it's got fentanyl in it, and they send it over to you, which just added to your workload that you've already got. And so I'm very happy that you were able to stay today. I know that you've got a huge job, but I'd like a little bit of feedback periodically on this fentanyl issue so that we can decide if there's additional things that we need to do. And I do appreciate you staying to give us these statistics and tell us what's going on over at the Forensic Science Center. Thank you, Dr. Stedman. And Mr. Manager, you want to brief where all you're getting ready to provide Narcan so that it's available?
Chairman, after our discussion yesterday, I had sent emails to Rusty and some the sheriff, some others, so that we can strategically place Narcan within areas where clients may come into contact with county staff who maybe have touched fentanyl. So that's the jail, corrections facilities, comm care, any other facility within the county where we may come into contact with that kind of client. As you mentioned, EMS already carries Narcan in there and have for a decade or years. So we'll try. We have a couple of heavy-duty topics that we went into today. One is the fentanyl phenomenon. I think that maybe that merits some staff time in the future to give a little bit more justice to some of the graphics in some of the cases, get the sheriff involved in that discussion, maybe WPD of what they're seeing. And then it kind of all ties into where Commissioner Howell was going before with trends in juvenile justice and trends with kids. And I think maybe that merits a discussion as well and staff where we can dive in a little bit deeper and have the commission hear from the front lines of what is happening with our young adults today in the community. So we'll set that up.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. This is an important topic. The sheriff is very involved in it. Our new interim police chief is very involved in it, and we need the community to become more aware of what's happening. So, thanks for that discussion. Anything else under committee reports today? Seeing nothing, Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Other.
Any commissioners have anything to cover during other today? Commissioner Meitzner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just on a different note, the week has been off to a roaring start in our community, and yesterday was big news. I'm glad the media's covered it. Bombardier announced their world or their United States headquarters will be located here in the Wichita Sedgwick County area. It was a great event. Many of their employees were there. Senator, congressman, many people. It was a nice announcement and received a lot of coverage. And my special congratulations to Tanya Sudeth, who is now the head of strategy for Bombardier U.S. Located here in the headquarters. And Tanya's been a good person to work with over the years, and I've known her, and well deserved that she's now the top person there. So congratulations to Tanya. And then we had also, and maybe Commissioner, you'd like to address, had a great groundbreaker or ribbon cutting over there at Exploration Place with the investment by the local medical community and many volunteers individually and businesses to help support that. That was another fantastic event. And then also went back to the baseball game last night, had the REAP had a night there in the city of Wichita hosting Bombardier officials. The CEO was there, and again, many of the other federally elected officials were there. So it was a busy day, but it was all very positive from my perspective. I just wanted to share that. And all of the commissioners were present, and a lot of the staff was there for many of these events, and so it was really good. And thank you, staff, for being there and covering and posting for whatever we do. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Meitzner. Commissioner Lopez.
Thank you. I was just going to touch on the Exploration Place Health Inside Out opening was yesterday. The ribbon cutting, Lieutenant Governor Toland was here to speak at that as well, which was really exciting. So I want to thank my fellow commissioners for joining us yesterday in that. When we think about some of the industries that were really impacted by the pandemic and workforce, health is a huge part of that. And so having kids be able to really picture themselves and get hands-on experience on what, being a paramedic or any of these fields in the health industry can look like, can plant that seed for them going forward and hopefully build the pipeline for our medical workforce in the future. So it was really exciting. I brought my son, he's 8, and he kept saying over and over how it was the very best exhibit at Exploration Place. And even when Lieutenant Governor was talking and other people were speaking, he was in the background playing with stuff because he was just so excited he couldn't stop. So it's a really awesome exhibit, and I hope everybody gets the chance to get out and take a look at it now that it's officially open. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Howell.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a pretty busy time for all of us, I think. We have conflicts on our schedules, and so we have to pick which thing we want to attend and celebrate. I extend my congratulations to Exploration Place. I'm sorry I missed the game last night. I had a conflict, and I had multiple meetings I had to attend, so I'm sorry I had to miss that. But yesterday I did want to visit the water treatment facility for Wichita Water Works, and that was a very exciting presentation. There is an enormous infrastructure going in and out there. If you've not been out there and seen what is going on out there, it is absolutely incredible. It just shows you what $1 billion or whatever the number is can do. It's just amazing. And by the way, most of that money is flowing into this community. So it's not just materials, but it's the labor, it's the investment in this community. I understand this is one of the largest treatment facilities in the entire nation, and so it's something to be very proud of. And I believe that the completion date is scheduled for, I think, September the 16th, 2023, and they are ahead of schedule, which is exciting. The weather yesterday was not great, so I was not actually able to go on the physical tour. There are some others that did go. It got to be a little bit late in the day for me to stay for a tour, but I did get to hear part of the presentation. There was a number of legislators out there, And so I just want to congratulate Wichita for the facility is moving along, and it is extraordinary. And I expect they will have another similar meeting for us to enjoy about a year from now. And of course, when they cut that ribbon in September or before, we expect that we probably will be out there to celebrate with Wichita as well. Secondly, I do want to also congratulate Tanya Sudith out there at Bombardier for being named head of the U.S. headquarters, which is a huge investment and commitment to Wichita. This is a big land. The reality is we're not manufacturing Learjets anymore, but Bombardier has three major parts of their company are basically invested here in Wichita. That's their flight test center, their defense, and of course their customer service area for business jet maintenance and overhaul. So they're doing a great amount of work out there. They have, I think, 1,100 employees. I believe that's the number I saw yesterday. They do amazing things, and this is a huge commitment to Wichita. So Bombardier is part of our air capital companies that we're so proud of being air capital of the world. They're a big part of that as well. And I just want to say congratulations to Wichita for landing that enormous commitment for U.S. headquarters for Bombardier. That's incredible. And especially to congratulate Tanya Sudith for her being named head of that entire part. One other thing I just want to say, we have had the Bombardier Flight Test Center has been a part of our community for a while, as well as the customer service, but I think they're expanding both of those or whatever. But the Bombardier Defense is new, and I think that they talked about some specific airplanes out there that they've been working on for a number of years, and those programs are being expanded. And so there's a lot of new airplanes that are being converted for U.S. United States government defense for the Air Force. And we had a Air Force general out there talking about how important that was to the United States. And so it was a great event yesterday, and I want to say I was really glad to be out there and be able to witness that exciting news. And so that's all I wanted to share today. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Well, as all the commissioners have mentioned, it's a very, very busy time, but it's an exciting time because there's so much going on in our community right now. We've all had an opportunity to go over and see some of these things firsthand. The one important thing on Bombardier, just from the defense work that they're getting ready to do, is that they're building a new E-11A aircraft, which they take an existing Bombardier large jet and modify it for use on the battlefield. And what that provides is a link in communications so that it doesn't matter if you've got a cell phone and you're a Army infantryman or woman on the ground and you need to communicate with someone that your cell phone won't communicate with, or your HF radio or your UHF radio or whatever you've got for communications, you can talk to this E11 and it will automatically translate that into whatever communications device that you need to communicate with on a different part of the battlefield that you don't have any connectivity with. So that's the importance of the defense work that is going on right here in Wichita. So we can all be proud of all the different actions. I want to congratulate Adam Smith over at the Exploration Place. He has done an absolute fantastic job. We went through a pandemic and a lot of organizations shut down and they couldn't figure out how to continue to provide the services and the connectivity to the community. But instead, Exploration Place expanded that, and so they went above and beyond. So we can be very proud that Sedgwick County supports Exploration Place also. We just had the opening of the Stingray Cove out at the zoo, so those are some other things that are happening, and in the very near future we'll have the opening of the train at the zoo. So the different economic development things, the quality of life things that are happening here in this area are just out of sight. So I just can't speak well enough about all of the people that are involved in making these things happen. I don't see anything else. Does anything else need to come before the board today? See nothing? We're adjourned. Thank you all.
Straight up 11. 2 hours.